All right, we're doing it. We're back. What's up, you guys? It's your big sister Sab back with yet another podcast episode. It's been a hot minute. How have you guys been? How are you? I haven't been taking my own advice, and I've been pushing things off, adding to my own stress. So I went on a little hiatus. Had to take time for myself and just figure myself out. And sometimes we all need to do that. But we're back. We're better than ever. And I'm so glad you're here. I have been wanting to record this episode forever. But I just couldn't get myself to do it. And it's springtime now. So I apologize for the constant sniffling you're going to have to listen to during this podcast. But here we are. Today's topic is anxiety, and I think it's a really good topic because everybody has stress, anxiety, depression, whether it's major or minor, and it's a topic that I think needs to be talked about more in a way that isn't, I guess, stigmatized. I don't know if that's the word I'm trying to use, but I feel like everybody projects this perception of stress, like anxiety and depression, that only the worst of the worst have it. But even when you're good, I feel like you can still have it. So let's just get into it. It is Monday, April 17th. We're here on a Monday, you guys, not a Tuesday. So that's super exciting. And if you haven't noticed already, my aura is way different than it was in the last 3 episodes. I think I was just in a going with emotions kind of state of mind, and I was trying to get something out there, and I was just thinking of quantity versus quality. So I apologize for the last Binky episodes, okay? But we're here. Here she is, always participating. All right. Cardi, what do you have to say to the listeners today? All right. You guys heard it from her first. Okay, that's enough of that. So let's just talk about it. The past couple of months, I think my last episode was the end of February, and here we are in the middle of April. So it's been a whole month and a half almost, and oh my gosh, can you believe that the first quarter of 2023 has basically been completed, and we still have the rest of the year to go. But how did we get here? But lately I have been not taking my own advice, like I said, and consuming consuming everybody else, absorbing everyone else's life and comparing it to where I am. And just lately I've been experiencing just deflation, anger, sadness. I've been unmotivated, almost embarrassed at where my mental state is. And I don't know why I feel embarrassed about it, because I know that anxiety and depression is something that basically everybody has, whether or not they express it. But I just have been feeling like Solomon, you guys. Or as one of my really, really good friends says, God's soldier, okay? I'm feeling financial pressure, grad school pressure, and my health has just also been declining because I have just been not taking care of myself. It's been a fun time. But let's just, I guess, first off, let's break it down a little bit. People under stress experience mental and physical symptoms such as irritability, anger, fatigue, pain, digestive issues, and sleep problems. And I think that I've been definitely feeling tons of stress ever since I lost my day job. If you haven't, been here for a while and you're new to the podcast, I am a student studying pharmacy. I am in my 3rd year and I'm almost done. The finish line is so close. But working a full-time job while in pharmacy school is very difficult, and I was trying to make it work and it just wasn't working. And let's just say at the end of the day, the business had to make a financial decision and they had to let me go. And that's fine. There have been some positive notes with that. I've had more time to focus on school, and hello, my grades are way better. I've been getting A's on my exams, which is very strange for me. I was a straight A student growing up, but like grad school is a totally different beast than undergrad. And let me tell you, undergrad college does not prepare you for grad school. But anyways, that's for another podcast episode, which we'll talk about later. And since I just broke down stress, let's talk about anxiety. Anxiety, on the other hand, is defined by persistent, excessive worries that don't go away in the absence of a stressor. So stress is basically something that's short-term in response to a recognized threat, and anxiety is something that can linger without an identifiable trigger. And I got that from research I did before the podcast, and I thought that was pretty interesting because I don't think that we really associate those two when we think about it, and connecting the dots there I thought was really cool, because sometimes we say we have anxiety when it can be stress, but anxiety can also be something that develops over time by having tons of stress. And with my school and financial stress going on, I'm having anxiety of like where and what my future is going to look like right now. I'm very thankful that I have my boyfriend to support me with things I'm struggling with right now. But I think without that, I would be in a totally different place. Along with that broken down like definitions of stress versus anxiety, I also did other research. And remember in 2019 when we all thought the world was going to fall apart because the news just only talks about murders and world war and riots and this new COVID disease that people thought the government was creating, and COVID and all of those things are still existing. But in 2019, 2 out of 3 Americans said that they were anxious. And I thought that was also interesting because I'd love to see the statistics on where we are in 2023. There wasn't too much research since, we're still in the first quarter, but we're all in a different place because the restrictions have been lifted. We're allowed to go outside and see our friends and family. We don't have to social distance as often, but vaccine requirements and stuff like that to travel are still in place. So that's really interesting to me. But since the pandemic, anxiety levels are breaking records, really. And I think that the pandemic really made us self-aware on, things that trigger us. Staying inside definitely can increase anxiety levels, especially if you're not like going outside and absorbing that vitamin D. And I think I found myself doing that again after the last couple of podcast episodes that I recorded. I found myself in a crying state of mind, just not even like small tears, like they were big fat wheeze crying like tears. Oh my god, my dog almost fell off the chair, sorry about that. and I literally was crying for like 9 to 11 days straight. My Gucci eye bags were bigger than ever. Congestion was just chronic at this point. And now, you know, we're trickling into seasonal allergies, so I'm used to this congestion at this point. Okay, we're resuming the recording now. I had to fix something with my camera because it was flashing at me, so sorry about that. But anyways, we're back. I feel like that always happens during this podcast episode. But anyways, what I was saying is we are in the middle of peak pollen season, and I'm used to this congestion at this point, so there's that. But it's not due to crying, so that's great. I felt like at the time of my chronic crying episodes, I was just crying about, you know, like me, I again was comparing myself to my friends' lives who were getting married, getting big girl jobs and raises, dream homes, and just again comparing their life to how my life looks right now. I'm in here struggling, having no money, no free time because I am stuck behind a laptop screen for hours on end. I'm actually panicking a little bit because I start rotations next month, and it's basically a 6-week internship, unpaid at that. So yeah, if my financials were not bad now, I don't know what they're gonna look like when I have to drive 2 hours to my rotation site and just slave away. But it's fine. We're in a better mental state right now, so hopefully I can just go in with confidence, knowing that I have the foundational knowledge to just get it done, and hopefully 6 weeks goes by very quickly. But I think one of the last podcast episodes was about comparison, and I think my brain was just feeling so low that I couldn't even fathom or absorb what I was telling you guys. So so I didn't even really take my own advice. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water there. But also upon my research, since we're on the topic of school, 91% of high school/college students report consistent levels of anxiety associated with stress. Now, we just broke down stress and anxiety, so I love that we can, again, connect the dots with the two and figure out what of our which one of our stress triggers is the root cause of our anxiety. And speaking about, you know, like where I'm at now, I am comparing it to like where I was back when 2022 ended. I think, again, going with the motions, I was riding this, I don't know what you want to say, you know, wave or roller coaster, if you will. My t-shirt business was popping off. I was getting tons of orders because of holidays. My affiliate marketing business was popping off. Me and my friends were in a really good state of mind. We were working together consistently, you know, always motivating each other and pushing each other to do better and be better. And then we're all in a good headspace at this point. I was showing up for myself, not just in school, but also, you know, social media, since I'm, you know, taking that a little more seriously, as I have been able to monetize myself in that way. My 16-year-old self would be very proud of me, because, you know, little old me wanted to do something social media wise, but with, you know, the certain people in my life that don't believe in that kind of work. You know, I really put that in the back of my mind, and wanted to, you know, do something more realistic. But I'm glad that we're in a day and age that I can do both, be a dreamer and a realist. But yeah, I launched my e-commerce website, and, you know, with losing my day job, I think that was really when, like, the train hit the brakes and was like, whoa, you need to check yourself before we wreck yourself. Because I think I was doing a lot at one time. So I guess that this, you know, hiatus really helped me not realize what I was doing, but this time away helped me figure out how to make it work for me, instead of listening to everybody and having them paint the picture for me. I have consistent questions of, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And yes, being multi-passionate is not an issue if you can manage the stress and the anxiety that comes with it. You know, anxiety, again, can be major and minor at certain points in your life. And at that time, it was very major. Right now, my stresses are very minor because I am doing well in school, so I can say that that's a plus. Financial stress, major. But I'm glad that I can sit down and, like, categorize where my stresses are. So, you know, if you're going through some things, maybe sit down and figure out, you know, what is stressing you out. Is it school? Is it friends and family? Is it money? Is it, you know, are you not taking time for yourself and just doing things just to get through life? Yeah, that was a lot. This is a little therapy session for both you and me. Hopefully you can get something from this by me talking about what's going on in my life. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you're also in grad school or got let go from a job, or, you know, having some struggles and you don't know how to tell people in your life. Growing up, my family's interesting, and I'm actually going to record another podcast episode about this family dynamic, so stay tuned for that. But basically, my family is not very expressive about their emotions. Growing up, my mom was going through some medical issues that we did not know about, and that added to some negative emotions and stress. My dad also paints this picture that we'll talk about in the podcast later. I don't want to give anything away because, like, that podcast episode is going to be really good. But anyway, basically we don't express our emotions unless they're, you know, like, happy emotions, I guess. Whenever we're feeling some type of, like, negative emotion, we retreat. And my sister and I talk about this all the time, where we feel like we have to figure it out on ourselves, because we don't really want to have other people worry about us, or we don't know how to ask for help because that's not what we did growing up. We just obviously just figured it out on our own. But I think it's good to have somebody outside of your circle to talk to, whether that's like a therapist or a friend of a friend that you're not that close with. Just because if you are only going to your inner circle and your family, like, sometimes that defeats the purpose, only because like, if they keep telling you, like, you can do it and you'll get through it, the back of your mind is not going to believe them, honestly, in my opinion, because you're like, you're only saying that because you're my sister or you're my mom. But if you find somebody outside of your circle that can tell you motivating things and things out, like something from their perspective that they've experienced, you don't have to believe them or anything. But if they're just there to listen, maybe that's all you need. And the more that you hear external motivation from somebody else, the louder that they'll be. And if you constantly listen to your negative inner voices, defining your worth with your work and productivity, the louder those become. So obviously fill your space with positivity and abundance. Easier said than done. But again, listening to people inside your circle versus outside your circle can do different things for your brains. Yeah. We're here. If anybody hasn't told you today, I'm here for you. You're not alone. And, you know, sometimes that's all you need to hear. I know it might be easier actually to approach somebody like that doesn't know your history, because they can come in with a different kind of perspective, and no judgment or anything like that based on like what you've been through. And you can kind of tell them your history with your point of view, and they can, you know, go from there. Adding to that, my family and my boyfriend, if you will, they're not very articulate about their emotions. So like having difficult conversations such as like stress and anxiety is sometimes hard to have. So that's why I say, like, find somebody out of your inner circle, which you can always, you know, DM me on Instagram or TikTok and let me know what you're going through. And I will definitely respond in a timely manner. And hopefully, you know, we can just talk and have a conversation and figure out a way to help each other out. But I'm kind of glad that I've sat down and did this episode, just to have the conversation about anxiety, because I think it's super important to just continue to talk about mental health and constant and normalize just factors that can play into other factions of your life. Obviously, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not feeding your brain or your body with the essential nutrients and vitamins, with the amount of sleep or, you know, good energy, that can really affect other things negatively, whether that's, you know, your motivation or your sex life, if you will. And I actually talked about this with my doctor the other day. And I think it's appropriate to talk about here because I'm a pharmacy grad student, so I think about things in a scientific way. And basically, we kind of also broke down stress and anxiety scientifically. And for those of you that like can relate to this kind of stuff, so serotonin imbalance. Serotonin is the happy hormone, if you will. But serotonin imbalance can contribute to having anxiety and can contribute to you having high cortisol levels. And cortisol is the thing that, like, you know, stresses you out, but also epinephrine, you know, with that whole adrenaline and making you feel anxious. Those are primary chemicals that directly involve your anxiety and stress symptoms. So if you need to, definitely talk to your doctor. Me personally, I'm not on any medications, but if that's something that you feel like you need, it's totally okay to be on, antidepressants or anxiety medications. I think in the past, with how the world's perspective was, we see taking medications as a negative thing. And this is not just me being biased to medications and stuff like that, because I'm a studying pharmacist. But I think now, with the science and technology that is available, there's more research done, and the benefits outweigh the negative effects of taking medication. So, if you feel like you need that, don't be afraid to ask. But I think I have basically covered everything that I wanted to talk about in this podcast episode. Again, you can catch me every Monday. We're back on the consistent train here. So hopefully I can provide what you guys need. And hopefully you took something away from that. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I'm back. We're learning together. So again, it would be really, really awesome if you shared the podcast for me. Let's get to know each other. Like the episode. You can find this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, actually. So yeah, if you haven't already, give my podcast a rating, and depending on the platform you're listening to, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.